When the anxious partner stops chasing the relationship, it means everything has changed. When an anxious partner finally stops chasing the relationship, it is never a random or sudden decision made in a single moment. It is usually the result of a long emotional exhaustion that has been building quietly inside them for weeks, months, or even years. They are the type of person who normally overthinks everything, overgives in love, and keeps trying even when things clearly hurt them. So when they stop chasing, it is not because they stopped caring, but because something inside them has finally started breaking differently. At first, the anxious partner always believes that effort can fix distance in the relationship. They believe that if they communicate more, explain better, or love harder, the connection will eventually become stable again. They send the messages first, they initiate the calls, and they try to repair emotional gaps even when they are not the ones causing them. Because deep down they are afraid that silence means abandonment and distance means loss. But over time, repeated emotional uncertainty starts changing something within them. They begin to notice that their efforts are not creating balance, but instead creating emotional imbalance where they are always the ones trying. They start feeling like they are chasing someone who only meets them halfway when it is convenient. And that realization slowly begins to drain their emotional energy in ways they cannot fully explain. There comes a point where the anxious partner starts to feel tired instead of hopeful. Tired of overthinking every message. Tired of waiting for replies that come inconsistently. And tired of always being the one to fix things. They still love the person, but their nervous system starts protecting them more than their emotions can handle. And that is where the first shift away from chasing quietly begins. They stop double texting as quickly as they used to. They stop checking their phone every few minutes with the same level of anxiety and expectation. They start delaying responses not as a game, but as a form of emotional self-protection. And for the first time, they begin sitting with their own feelings instead of constantly reacting to the relationship. This is the stage where most people misunderstand what is happening. From the outside, it may look like the anxious partner is losing interest or becoming distant. But internally, they are actually processing emotional fatigue and finally trying to regulate their own self-worth. Because they are slowly realizing that love should not feel like constant uncertainty or emotional chasing. When the anxious partner stops chasing, it often means they have reached their emotional limit. Not a dramatic breaking point, but a quiet internal decision that they cannot keep sacrificing their peace for inconsistent connection. They start recognizing that love without stability creates more anxiety than happiness. And slowly, they begin to detach from the cycle that kept them emotionally stuck. At this stage, something very important begins to happen inside their mindset. They start asking different questions that they never asked before. Instead of "how can I fix this?" they begin asking, "why am I the only one trying to fix this?" Instead of "what did I do wrong?" They start thinking, "why do I always have to overextend myself just to feel chosen?" And these questions are the beginning of emotional awakening for the anxious partner, because they finally start seeing the relationship from a more balanced and realistic perspective. They begin understanding that love is not supposed to feel like constant anxiety, waiting, or emotional instability. And that realization slowly weakens their need to chase someone who is not meeting them consistently. When they finally stop chasing completely, it does not always mean they have stopped loving. It means they have started valuing their own emotional well-being more than the unpredictability of the relationship. They begin choosing silence over explaining and peace over emotional confusion. And even though it feels uncomfortable at first, it also starts feeling strangely freeing. The other partner may notice this shift and feel confused by the sudden change in behavior. Because the anxious partner who used to always reach out is now no longer filling the emotional gaps. The dynamic that once revolved around pursuit and reassurance starts to lose its pattern, and that change forces the entire relationship to reveal its true level of stability. In some cases, this is the moment where the relationship either becomes healthier or completely falls apart. Because when the anxious partner stops over-functioning emotionally, the imbalance becomes visible. If there is genuine care on both sides, the relationship can slowly recalibrate into something healthier. But if there was only dependency on one-sided effort, the connection starts to naturally fade. The most important thing to understand is that when an anxious partner stops chasing, it is not coldness, it is not revenge, and it is not emotional manipulation or playing games. It is the result of emotional exhaustion finally turning into self-awareness and self-protection. And that shift often marks the beginning of their journey back to themselves. Because in the end, the anxious partner is not trying to lose love. They are trying to stop losing themselves inside a love that constantly required them to chase it.